And a good evening. Welcome out to Little Woodrow's in the Colonnade Shopping Center on Phelan Boulevard in Beaumont. I am Harold Mann along with Coach Blane Morgan. Going to talk Cardinal football over the next hour. Also during the segment, we'll talk a little Lamar soccer and the great season they're having. See that for those on the video, the throwback helmet because it's homecoming 2022 coming up this Saturday at Provost Humphrey Stadium. Before we get into what's coming ahead of us, let's talk about this past Saturday at Northwestern State. A one-possession loss. A game the Cardinals jumped off to a 10-0 lead. Looked hopefully like we're going to go up 17-0. Unfortunately, it didn't get it punched in. Then Northwestern State goes on a run, and you guys came fighting back and came up a little short.
Yeah, those are the ones that keep you up and don't give you a whole lot of sleep on Saturday night. You know, you're right there a yard away, and really, my thought was you don't want to go through hypotheticals, and you do that as a coach anyway. But you punch that one in, and they're sitting there, you know, feeling bad memories. We didn't respond the right way. And when bad things are going to happen in football games, and what we've got to do a better job of is just learning to respond to those things, because we did some good things to flip the momentum, and we didn't respond to it. You know, got the onside kick.
Oh yeah,
I thought was a really executed very very well, and then the defense got a turnover. And I think the offense went 3 and out on both of those deals. So this week we worked really hard because the defense has done a great job of getting the ball, getting turnovers and causing those. And we've worked really hard this week at just creating that situation, trying to, in a game and talking about transition and really executing after that.
Going back to the onside kick, Kobe did a good job, well placed. Is that something you looked at when you looked at their special teams and saw there was an opportunity?
Yeah, every week I want to, on the kickoff team, I want to have an onside kick and just see what the holes are. I want to have a fake punt. I want to have a fake field goal. So I want our coaches you always want a way if you get behind to gain a possession. And so on the first kickoff, we had seen their end man on the line of scrimmage in film getting out really, really early. So we thought if we hit one, a slow roller right behind him. On the first kickoff, he didn't do it, and then on the second one, he did. And Coach said, we got it. And then I thought we had a little bit of momentum, and we made it a 2-possession game. And so, and they had scored on, I think, 3 or 4 straight possessions. And so it was an opportune time to do that. And it just stinks because we didn't take advantage of that opportunity and make it a 1-score game. But we learned from it, and we'll go forward.
Made a change at quarterback going into the game with Nick Yockey just to talk about his performance. Unfortunately banged up at the end. He had to come out of the game. But what do you think of his performance?
Yeah, he's an older kid. He's mature. So it's when you get older and you grow in age, your time coming to an end becomes a real thing, and then it becomes so much more important to you. And so it's very important to him. I thought for his first start, he played poised. I didn't think we did a very good job helping him out. He made some really good throws. And when we kind of got down and they scored a couple, we had like a 3rd and 5 and threw a slant and, hit him in the hands. And we had another 3rd and long and went right through another player's hands. And so I thought he played with poise and did a nice job executing the offense. And, had a couple. You always have a couple you want back, but for the most part, really just got the ball out of his hand on time and knew where to go with it, and that's what you want.
Week in and week out, we talked about the youth on this team, and he had a couple of true freshmen score their first collegiate touchdowns with Major Bowden and Kendon Fusilier. And these are the kids that are part of your future, and they're not the only two. You've got several freshmen or true freshmen out on that field.
We've got 2 that are playing like veterans. I mean, you got 2 true freshmen. Major Bowden is playing at a really high level. He caught the touchdown at the end of the game and ran a really good route. Christian Pugh from Beaumont Westbrook he graded out like above 90%. He's a true freshman. playing safety, and so his future is certainly bright. And I was thinking about it's funny, I was looking at our secondary. I'm like, our aged vets at corner, all those second year guys.
Roberts,
all the second year guys, Damian Alexander and Ramon Stevens, those savvy vets. And so at some point you still got to have a little bit of perspective. We started another safety, and we'll talk. I can talk about him in a little bit, but he did a really he did a solid job starting for the first time and started an outside, two new guys that hadn't played a whole lot.
Visiting with Coach Blane Morgan, and talk about your offensive line play again. This is up and down the roster, and we talked about the youth, but we had your strength and conditioning coach on last week. These kids, week by week, are getting stronger, and they're starting to mature a little bit as well.
Yeah, I thought we talked about it last week. I thought Northwestern State, just from a size standpoint, I thought they're probably the largest D-line in the Southland Conference, and that was certainly their strength. And so we knew we were going to have to mix it and throw the ball a little bit, which we did, threw for over 300 yards, and a little bit of that was catching up. But we threw the ball a little bit better. The right side is playing at a pretty high level, and that's we're starting with our center Jacob Bear, B.J. Williams, our right guard, and our right tackle Drew Moss. Those guys are, going to that side. Certainly those guys are really playing at a high level and keep getting better every week, like you said.
You mentioned the football bounces in crazy ways. You get a hit, knock the ball loose, and it goes backwards 5 yards, and an offensive lineman has to be standing and it rolls at his feet and he falls on it.
Yeah,
that should have been Cardinals ball.
Christian picks off the ball.
Yeah.
And should run in or cut back on the quarterback, and he gets tackled at the 7, and that's what we got. So that play after play. That welcome to the life of a coach, And when you win, we in the past I've been a part of a lot of that. You still kind of have those same thoughts when you call plays. You always have, hey, I could have called that, I should have called that, and the reality of it is, it happens, and you have to live with those decisions and what happens in a game.
Well, I'm going to wear it because James Dixon made me wear it after I made the call, but as soon as Christian picked it off, I said this could be a pick six. Announcer's jinx. So,
man.
So I'll wear that one.
Yeah.
But like I said, so close the last 2 weeks, one possession games. The confidence level on your team right now, knowing they're so close and getting that taste of that victory.
I think that's why they're so frustrated, is because you look back at last year, and I went through, and what I wanted to do was kind of just, you want to judge where, you want to have a look at where you've been and to see how far you've come. And, you look back at last year, and we lost 54-0 to a really good UTSA team, but we didn't score. We lost 56-0 to Abilene Christian. Then we go to Sam, where we hung for a little bit, but it was still 41-7. And so the hard part is you feel like these last couple games that you're right in there as far as talent and everything, and that you've got a legitimate chance to go and win those games. And our guys are frustrated because they know that, and they know how close we are. And so they came out and probably had the best Tuesday practice that we've had all year yesterday. And that says something about the kids, and just they can feel it, they can taste it. Now we just need to go claim it and go take it.
Something else we talked about, you got to want to win, bottom line, win football games. But in these losses, what kind of progression are you seeing from your young team?
What you're seeing is progression-wise, it's hard to say, because we're having games where certain guys play really, really well, and certain guys have been very, very steady. But you have guys that each and every week that don't play as well, and in order to win games, you've got to have all 11 playing very consistent, and that's consistency, that's maturity, that's growth, and we're going to do that. And at a certain point, and everybody's going to look up and say, "Whoa, wow, how did they put it all together like that?" And that just, unfortunately, it's a process and a growing process, and we're in it. We're in that process right now, and you just got to keep moving forward.
All right, we're going to get our first break in talking Lamar University football with Coach Blane Morgan. Each and every Wednesday here at Little Woodrow's in the Colonnade Shopping Center. Coach going to give you a brief. I think we're talking soccer next on the Coach Blane Morgan Show from Little Woodrow's on News Talk 560 KLVI. Harold Mann with you back at Little Woodrow's. It's the Coach Blane Morgan Show, Lamar University head football coaches show each and every Wednesday night during the duration of the football season. Again at Little Woodrow's, Colonnade Shopping Center on Phelan Boulevard. Nathan Colgate was named Lamar University head soccer coach this past April. We're going to shift gears during this segment and talk soccer. And Coach, during baseball we had a chance to talk to you, and you're just newly on campus. Welcome to Southeast Texas. And for those that didn't catch up with it, tell us a little about the background a little bit prior to arriving at Lamar.
So I moved here in April. I was an assistant coach at Texas A&M for the previous 4 years before that, and I kind of bounced around Division 1, 2, and 3, some smaller schools, and then I was a GA at Alabama. So I've kind of been all over the place.
Got the job here at Lamar, and what attracted you to apply for this position?
The opportunity to stay in Texas, be at a state school that had a lot of in-state talent close by, that had some immediate success and some recent success. And then the more people I spoke with, the more that I knew that this was kind of it was an underrated job. It was, you could win and you could do really good things here. And, I didn't want to go someplace that was, didn't have a commitment to being successful in women's soccer, and Lamar certainly has that.
I had to talk about your girls a little bit because I remember when we talked to you back in April, you had just arrived on campus and Coach Holman had left, and we had that little window there where they didn't have a coach, and you told me they took care of things themselves, and that says a lot about their character.
It absolutely does. Our returners did a very, very good job. We only had a couple actually transfer. The rest of them stayed and stayed committed to what had been built, and they were excited to take another step in a positive direction, and they've been fantastic leaders for what we've done so far with all of our newcomers coming in.
Meeting with Nathan Colgate, soccer coach at Lamar University, 7-0-1. More importantly, 4-0 in league play. I mean, you've just got to be thrilled the way the girls are playing right now.
We're playing well. It's exciting. They've responded really well to what we're doing and what we're asking, and I think success begets more success. And once they experienced it early, I think that created a lot more buy-in. And they just keep going. I'm excited. The most important game is always the next one, and so we're not looking too far ahead. We're not too high, too low. We were just focused today on getting better on Wednesday.
I know every lady that puts on that Cardinal uniform is important to your team, but just talk about some of the girls that are stepping it up this year.
So Christine Kataru is one of our leading scorers. She was the leading scorer last year. Isela Ramirez was the leading scorer last year. They're both. Isela leads the conference in assists. We've changed her position, so she's not scoring as many goals, but she's creating a lot more. Christine has scored more goals this year in 8 games than she did in 20 last year. Carol Ellis transferred in from the University of Tennessee. And, last week she was the Conference Player of the Week. She leads our team in goals. I like to score goals, but we've only given up 3 all year. Our back line has been fantastic, and Nicole Panis in goal, 3-time Conference Player of the Week as a goalkeeper. She just doesn't give up goals, and she's a really big safety net for what we do. And everything about that. We played 21 kids on Sunday, so I could go on and on about what we do.
There's an old saying, defense wins championships. In a state of mind, as you as a head coach, are you more offensive-minded or defensive-minded? Or a little of both?
A little bit of both right now because it's winning. But we know that as it comes to grind time right now and rubber meets the pavement, that not giving up goals is going to help create some success for us. And we can play a variety of different ways to create offense for ourselves, but it's tough to beat you when you can't give up goals and people can't break you down, and we take pride in that, it feels like.
Against Commerce, you're trailing, and they don't give up. You come fighting back for a big come-from-behind win. Mm-hmm.
That was I don't have any gray hair that I know of, but that was one of those games that really threatened it. They just don't quit. You know, we flip formations. You know, I gave a shout out to the baseball team because they caused a lot of issues. They were fantastic fans, and they ended up causing a little bit of a delay and allowed us to have a team discussion while they were asked to move seats. And that team discussion, I think that they were the key. But the girls just never quit. Our big thing this year is don't stop chopping.
Yep.
You can't chop a tree down with one swing of the axe. You just keep chopping, and that was one of those games that was an actual embodiment of that phrase.
Remember that when baseball season comes around and your girls go out there, and I know, talk about the importance of that. You see the baseball team out there. I know Coach Morgan's football team comes out to a baseball game on a Friday night, and the importance of one athletic one athletic sport working with another. Just the importance of that at the university.
I think it was a distinct advantage for us when we played Houston to open the season. There were so many student athletes there. The grass behind one of the goals was completely covered. When we scored a goal early, you just felt the energy come from all those people and all those peers. And I mean, my thing is that one successful program helps other programs be successful, and it all helps Lamar.
Going back to this season, as we mentioned, 7-0-1, 4-0 in league play, 5 shutouts.
It's we're playing well, and it's, you don't want to do anything to jinx it. You know, it's everybody sits on the same seat in the bus. We keep doing everything the same.
So you're saying you're superstitious?
Very, very. But we've had someone big step up every single game. You know, in our against Louisiana Lafayette, we had a kid played 15 minutes, and she scored the winning goal in the first half. And had played 0 minutes going into that game. And it's just a different hero every game. Everybody's ready when their number's called.
Coach, thank you so much for stopping by. And again, I want to get out there, support our women. Next Friday and Saturday? Friday and Sunday?
This coming Friday we play Incarnate Word at home, and then next Friday and Sunday we have 2 big ones at home.
Coach, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Coach Nathan Kogut with the Lamar University Soccer. We're on the Blane Morgan Show talking Lamar University Athletics. Back to talk about more football from Little Woodrow's in the Colonnade Shopping Center on News Talk 560 KLVI. Harold Mann along with Coach Blane Morgan talking Lamar University football. Nathan Kogut, the Lamar soccer coach, just visited with us, the coach. And, I mean, just as Coach mentioned, the baseball team out there supporting soccer. I know your football team goes out during the baseball season. Obviously, during this time of year, you're focusing on football. Just talk about how athletic departments and how important it is, and how basically winning in one sport can rub off on another.
Yeah, I think momentum, certainly when you win in another sport, can rub off on the others. It's imperative with how small our campus population is for all of us to support each other, and us having the largest team, we can spread out. And certainly in the spring, we're going to be at multiple baseball games, and we're going to go to basketball games as an entire team, and teach our guys to have a little bit of fun and get rowdy. And I think a lot of our guys went out to that first game where our women's soccer team beat Houston. So we're going to encourage them to continue to do that. In fact, I wrote our football operations today, and I'm like, hey, let's make sure that we know everything that's going on campus with athletics and get our guys there.
Not only athletics, just talk about the importance maybe just the overall student body with your team reaching out there, because you go out there, buddy them up. They may show up to games.
We're handing out free pizza tomorrow at noon.
Can I have some?
Right in the middle of campus. We did it 2 weeks ago, our first home game, and we're gonna go out and we're gonna try to, obviously, winning and all that certainly adds momentum, but we're gonna go out and we're gonna encourage students to come to the game and homecoming. And there's going to be a huge tailgate scene at homecoming, and we just want all those people that are outside tailgating to come in. I was reading an article today, had Lane Kiffin, and he was bagging on all their students and population for not coming into the game in the first quarter and the third quarter.
They're hanging out in the Cove.
So,
they're in Oxford. So
I want to encourage everyone that's going to be, because the tailgating scene last year at homecoming was phenomenal. I mean, it was just, everything was set up. It looked like an FBS Division I tailgating scene, and so just encourage those guys. Hey, come into the game and support our guys.
Got to get the flock out there.
Absolutely. Well, I looked up on the visiting side in the first home game, and it was encouraging to see just a pretty good student section. And I'd love to eventually fill that thing up and make it back to a home field advantage, because that's what we're certainly building towards.
All right, again, coming up on Saturday, we're talking about homecoming, Houston Christian University. Yes, we are saying that right. Last week, if you have not heard, Houston Baptist changed their imaging. They are now Houston Christian University. They come in with 1 win, 2 losses. Their only win against a common opponent on the road up in Greeley, a 46-34 shootout win over Northern Colorado. Then they lost to Lindenwood, 21-20, a lower division team. And then last week in San Marcos, a shutout by Texas State. What can you tell us about the Huskies coming to town?
Yeah, a few parallels. Obviously, that first game to me is a little bit, you kind of almost want to throw the first game out, and they don't, because they won it. But the first game, you don't know anything, about your own team. You're trying to figure things out, and then after that, you're going forward. And the Lindenwood game for them was kind of, it had to really sting because they were going to be 2-0, and at the end of the game, Lindenwood blocked a punt for a touchdown with like 30 seconds, I think, left in the game, and so that one had to sting, and so they probably feel a little bit like us, and they played Texas State within a few scores. So I know this is their conference opener, and so they'll come in here ready to play. I know their head coach very well, Vic Shealy, known him for a long time.
I was getting ready to say that. You had mentioned that you and Coach Shealy go back several years.
Yeah.
What's the relationship?
The relationship is he coached at the Air Force Academy when I was a younger assistant coach, and so I know he and his family, and we've remained in touch. His dad's a longtime college football coach, so comes from a great lineage. But he's a super coach and has done a really good job and built that thing, and then got really robbed by the transfer portal. He had a
all his kids ended up at Western Kentucky.
Yeah, and a coordinator,
Yeah.
So he is living the nightmare of the transfer portal. Probably thought he had a championship caliber team going into the season and last year, and then all that happened. So anyway, they're coming in. They're kind of where we're at. Their roster looks like ours, so it seems in just watching film like it'll be a back and forth, and it's going to be a very good football game.
What are some of your concerns when you look at them offensively? What are they going to show?
Yeah, they're going to have 2 really, really tall receivers outside, and of course we got little guys out there, so they're going to try to get the ball in those guys' hands, and then they got the speedy guys on the inside. Quarterback that throws it around is accurate, and they're going to. That's what we think they might do. Throw it, try to get it in the air, try to get it to their guys and their athletes, and he's not afraid to run around a little bit as well. So on offense, they're going to spread it out, they're going to throw it around, and they're going to push the tempo of the game. So
when you look at them defensively, what do you see? Maybe some holes that you could try to take advantage of, or what are some of your concerns? Might be a better way to phrase that. When you look at them defensively?
Yeah, again, they do a really nice job of mixing their fronts and their secondary, and they play their coverage. The way they play certain coverages are very unique in how they play 3 deep, and so they give you some different coverage variations. And then I think he's done a great job of, like Coach Weichert on our defense, I think their guys play really hard and are playing with a lot of confidence, and they haven't given up a lot of points. Really, 13 to Lindenwood and Texas State, who is a pretty powerful, potent offense. They held them when they didn't score when they weren't scoring on offense, and so those guys are playing. I think that's the number one thing in defense is just what kind of effort when you're down you do your players play with.
Going to get our third break in. Again, we are talking Lamar University football. Coach Blane Morgan Show each and every Wednesday here at Little Woodrose in the Colonnade Shopping Center. We're back with more on News Talk 560 KLVI. Harold Mann back with you at Little Woodrow's talking Lamar University football, the Coach Blane Morgan Show, shifting gears, talking to Tyler Bates, working with the Cardinals running backs. Tyler, first off, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And tell us about your background a little bit, the path that led you to Lamar University.
So I was born and raised in Alvarado, Texas, which is about 20 minutes south, 25 minutes south of Fort Worth. I was a two-sport athlete at East Texas Baptist University. I played football and baseball. Fortunately enough, I was drafted to play baseball with the Los Angeles Angels. So I played a year and a half with them, and then I played a year and a half with the Colorado Rockies. Unfortunately, I got hurt, so it was cut short, but it was a good time. So after those 3 years, I just I got into coaching initially with the youth football league. Coaching my nephews and stuff like that with my cousins, and then Coach Gibson actually reached out to me while I was at work, actually giving hidden lessons at DBAT Mansfield. I was working there for a little over 2 years, and Coach Gibson had reached out because he had worked at East Texas Baptist a few years after I had left, and he's the one who got me to Lamar.
I got to ask you this question. You mentioned 3 years of professional baseball in the minor leagues?
No.
Bull Durham, how accurate is that, say, for the bus trips, when it comes to bus trips and all that? Is it really that grueling when you're playing the lower classifications ball?
Oh, yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but like I tell people all the time, you just have to make the most. You got to make the most of those opportunities, and unfortunately, like, the bus trips are some of the more fun times. So I tell the guys some stories about our bus trips all the time. So the bus trips they're brutal, all through the night, all through the morning. So you gotta stay entertained somehow. So it is what you make it, like I told them. But it's a lot of fun though.
I think it's Preston Manley, former Lamar University men's basketball player here, played minor league baseball, and he told me the same thing, that there was a lot of time to kill on a bus.
Oh yeah. Longest trip was 21-ish hours. So
you go to sleep, it's dark outside. You wake up, it's dark outside.
You wake up, it's still dark outside. So
now playing the minor league baseball and things along those lines, how's that develop you as a coach, even in another sport? Does that develop you as a coach?
Oh yeah, for sure. Baseball, I tell people all the time, baseball is a sport of failure. Anything you do in life, it's really based off.
Anytime you go 3 out of 10 for something, it's a success.
Exactly, it's a success. So I take an approach to that. It's made me tougher, not only as a football player or as an athlete at first, but when the players are going through rough times, I think about the times that I faced as a rookie, going from the guy in college to just an average Joe in the minor league. So. It developed me a lot mentally, so that helps me the most.
Visiting with Tyler Bates, you work with the running backs, and you've got to be excited because you've got a lot of youth. You have Major Bowden, kind of Griffin. Then you got the senior leader in Hunter. Just talk about the progression, especially when it comes to the younger guys in your backfield.
So we got some guys that can do everything. Like you mentioned, Major Bowden is a guy who we look to get out in space a lot. He's got a lot of wiggle to him. And then Hunter, as you said, is Hunter and RJ Carver are big bruiser back.
And he saw a lot of action this past Saturday for the first time.
Oh yeah. So really excited to have that much flexibility in the running backs room. So we got guys that can do everything. We got a speed back and Major and DeMaje. And then also Kalen Griffin. Then we got power backs and Hunter and RJ as well. Hunter is really the older guy in the room. They give him a hard time. We were just actually talking about it in the meeting today, how old Hunter Batten is. He's in his 6th year of college, and all the other guys are in their second or third year,
even first or
second year in the room. So Hunter is a big asset, man. I can't say enough about Hunter. Not only on the field, but in the meeting rooms at times, because as you know, as a freshman, some things can get tough. So I really lean on him to help those guys and bring those guys along.
Keeping the kids' positive attitude. You've 0-4, but as I talked to Coach Morgan about, 3 of those games winnable, 2 of those games one-possession games. Trying to keep, at such a young age, because in high school, like say Major Bowden, for instance, he's coming off a state championship year at China Springs. He's the player of the year in his classification. Keeping their positive attitude, how much goes into that?
it's mostly credit to them, especially guys like Major who doesn't. None of them like losing. Don't get me wrong, but a guy who's won as much as Major Bowden has, or anybody, not just Major, but in our room, a guy who's won a lot. He really shows those guys the way, and how to deal with adversity. Not only how to win games, but I was always taught you have to learn how to lose. You don't have to accept losing, but you have to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. So
now, you work with return specialists, and you have Savon Ray, one of the fastest guys around, back there receiving punts. I grew up in the era, and it's changed, and I want you to explain that change for me here in a second. I grew up in the area as a punt returner. You stood on the 10-yard line. Anything coming down to you in front of you, you fair catch. Mm-hmm. Anything over your head, you let go.
Yeah.
But now every once in a while you'll see someone drop back to the 5 or 6 and make that fair catch. Why has that changed? Is the punting got that much better?
The punters are definitely better, but I would like to say our guy, I would always bet on number 7 against any of the other 11 people that's running down at him. So he might not drop. I hope he doesn't drop back to the 5 or 6. That's going to scare me a little bit, but. We do get that guy a little bit more free reign, just because he is so athletic, so dynamic with the ball in his hands. So we don't want to try to limit that guy or put parameters around him. We just kind of want to let him be himself and then go make plays.
Same question for kickoff returns. Anything back there, even a 10, 15, 5-yard line back in the end zone, call for the fair catch. It comes out to the 25. Do you pretty much leave it up to the return man? Maybe if he's at the 5-yard line, not to call for the fair catch. If he's 2 yards deep in the end zone, to bring it out. Do you leave that pretty much up to the return?
For the most part, yeah, but we have our rules. If you catch the ball out the spot, it's a fair catch, obviously. DeMaje Harris is pretty dynamic as well, so we give him a little bit of leeway too, but there are parameters. Obviously, we don't want you catching the ball going into the back or into the end zone, but if you catch that thing moving forward, going downhill, then it's up to you. Return the ball and go score.
Coach Bates, thank you so much for stopping by tonight. Enjoyed the visit, and good luck Saturday against Houston Christian and pick up that first one of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
All right, Coach Tyler Bates with Lamar University. Again, the Cardinals homecoming 2022 out at Provost Humphrey Stadium. 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday. We're back with Coach Blane Morgan on News Talk 560 KLVI. Harold Mann back with you at Little Woodrow's Colonnade Shopping Center, talking Lamar University football with Coach Blane Morgan. Our most recent segment. You didn't tell me you had an 18-year-old Tyler Bates coming in. This kid looks 18.
Yeah, he's. I looked 18, I think, when I was 25. Now
I didn't start shaving until I was 22.
Now that I've been coaching for 20 years, I think you age in dog years when you become an assistant coach. But,
talk about him a little bit and what he brings to your coaching staff.
He just brings connection, and I think that's the number one thing in his room. With having such a young room and being a very good player himself, he's a very quiet in our staff room. But when he gets into his position room, I've said it on his meetings, he's a very he articulates and speaks very clearly, and he goes down to their level, and I think they see that. But he's also holds those guys accountable, and that's that sometimes that's hard for a young coach. Some young coaches want to be their friends and that sort of thing, but in his first year, getting the responsibility of being position coach, he's done a great job of going in there, and those tailbacks are playing at a high level. You look at DeMaje Harris. I think he got 14 or 15 carries. He's going to be an elite tailback. He's 6'2", he's 210, he's one of the fastest guys on our team.
We saw a lot more of RJ for the first time this past weekend too.
RJ Carver is just a bruiser. The first guy's not going to bring him down, and he's one of those kids that has really grown up. He had a lot of growing up to do, and he's done that. He's done that here in the last 12 months. So that's fun as a coach to be able to see that. And Major's one of those kids. He's a freshman, but he's been, he's been raised by, he's a coach's kid. He's been around ball his whole life, and so he's like he seems like an older kid when you're around him. He's quiet. He just goes about his business like he's a professional, and that's a fun room to go into. Kalen Griffin is one of those guys that just is, he kind of lights up the room. He's got an electric personality, and Hunter Batten's the old man in there.
They call him Gramps or anything like that?
Yeah, you just love all those guys. That's one of my I love all the different rooms and dynamics, and that's one of the funnest rooms to go in and be in a meeting with.
Tyler, again, when you decided to bring him on staff, what'd you like about him when you interviewed him?
Yeah, what I liked, and he came on last year as a graduate assistant, and really you hire guys that someone coached them personally, and Coach Gibson, our coach, had been around him personally, and you like a guy that has played. I love guys that recruits that have played multiple sports, but also coaches that have played multiple sports, and he was an All-American in college, so he's a really good player. So he knows what it's like to play at a really high level, and so I think just having other coaches know how he coaches and what kind of kid he is.
Time flies, I guess. And was he part of their national championship team, or was that at Texas A&M Commerce?
No, he was at East Texas Baptist.
East Texas Baptist.
Okay. Yeah, he was there, and so. Yeah, you just saw that, and when I interviewed him, I remember saying, in the FCS world, you're going to have transition, and I really believe in, grooming young coaches and developing and promoting from within your own staff. If you can do that, then you're going to have a little bit more continuity, and that's what we did this last offseason.
Good to meet Tyler. Now, again, we have about 4.5 minutes to go on the show, so let's start focusing on what's taking place this week with Houston Christian coming to town. Homecoming 2022. Do the players get involved with that very much? I know during your weekly press conference this past Monday, you said it's, on a high school level, yeah, because you get the homecoming dance and all that. Do we have a bonfire? Just everything leading up to homecoming. Is it very much of a distraction?
I wouldn't say a distraction. I would say more energetic. Like what Dr. Taylor did for the homecoming this last year was phenomenal. He rented a large stage and put it at Spindletop, and basically campus, community. There were probably 500 people.
Yeah.
And the band played. We had a couple of our players speak. And then they had a bonfire right after, and a lot of the students just walked over. And so I just got a text from a couple of our players. We always, we usually have them watch a movie or something on Friday night as a team, but they texted me and said they want to go as a team to the bonfire together. And I think that would be really neat. You don't want them to be on their feet for hours and want them to stay off their feet, but just to go to that bonfire and see all the student body, and for the student body to see them there. And really, we're just a small piece of the homecoming and Lamar University, and we want the students to know that we support them, and it's really, we want it to be a true community and all be for each other. And I think that's what Dr. Taylor, is really starting to set the foundation as a university for really everyone supporting each other and having great community.
Our first home game against Northern Colorado, that was a 6 o'clock kickoff, and now we're coming up on a 3 o'clock kickoff, and I know you love afternoon games.
Yeah, college coach's dream, an afternoon football game. The Big Ten, again, I'll probably say it every time I come on here, the Big Ten noon game. One time we played a 10:30 a.m. kickoff, and it was great. It was great. No, so 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I think the weather's going to be in the mid-80s, so. It should be great. It's starting to feel like football weather. You woke up this week and it's 60
cool
degrees.
Outside, yeah.
It's crisp. I got a hoodie. I always wear a hoodie whether it's 100 or it's 60 degrees, but sweat a little bit. But it felt like football weather. You get that crisp, cool air.
Pretty healthy coming into Saturday's game?
For being week 5, I would say probably the healthiest I've ever of a team I've ever been a part of, and that's hats off to to our staff and the way we're doing our training. So that's been a huge asset because our depth really is getting to those first year guys, and the fewer those guys and you can keep playing your older guys and getting them experience, the better off we're going to be.
Getting ready to wrap it up here, Coach, real quick. Saturday, what's the schedule look like for Saturday for your team? Leading up to the 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday.
We're up and at 'em because of a 3 o'clock kickoff. At 8:30, we'll come in and do a quick walkthrough and have a chapel voluntary chapel for the guys, and we always want to have that available for them. And then pregame meal at 11, and we're rolling. So we'll be out there the 90-minute mark. We go out and throw the ball around with our quarterbacks and receivers and DBs. And then about an hour before kickoff, 55, we have a countdown clock. So I get a card. This is kind of a little behind the scenes. You don't get to see this too often. But so I get a card. Our football operations girl will give us a card, and it's the countdown clock, and on the back it's the referees and their names.
Yeah.
And so that's what we get. And so I'm on schedule for guys in positions coming out.
Coach, thank you so much, and good luck on Saturday. Folks, get out there and watch your Cardinals during homecoming against Houston Christian University. We'll see you right back out here next Wednesday at Little Woodrow's.
It's rally for the win. Go Cards.
All right, get your tickets now for the Cardinals and Houston Christian Homecoming 2022. Thanks to Coach Blane Morgan, also Coach Nathan Goget, and Coach Tyler Bates. Thank you so much, and thanks to Chelsea back in the studios for Coach Blane Morgan. I'm Harold Mann. Good night, everyone.